Hello and welcome to another Near Reading cast. As always, my name is Johno, and I'm joined by guest co-commentator David Swiftie Etherington. How's it going, Dave?
It's going good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm okay. We're here to watch the second elimination round of the UK Nationals, and this was quite a pleasant surprise. Simon Castle on the left here managed to make the cut, the top 16 UK Nationals, the very best 16 players in the country. And he made the cut with Geist and Biotech. Oh, I was so proud.
Yeah, I hear you quite like those sort of IDs.
That's right. So I abused my power to get Geist on stream in the second round. So we should introduce his opponent as well, I suppose, which is Ben Nee. He's playing ETF. These guys are actually both from London. So this is a kind of mini London rivalry game as well, I guess. I don't suppose you've played either of these guys before, even on the day even?
I have, unfortunately, played Ben Nee quite a few times, and he has continually knocked me out of the cut when I made it. The first time, he knocked me out of the cut, and then again at Reading and Aldershot.
Yeah.
Continually knocks me out of the cut.
He is a very good player.
He is a very good player, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So with regards to the Geist versus ETF matchup, I would say that Geist would have the upper hand if this happens to be a slow ETF deck that uses defensive upgrades, Glacier Ice.
But seeing the advanced assembly lines, we probably know it's a bit more of a rushy thing.
I'd say that's not the case. Yeah, okay, so he installs Ice on HQ and advanced assembly lines, and then targeted marketing. And I must compliment Ben on this. He brought the cards that he was most likely to name with targeted marketing in his deck box or whatever, placing them on the mat. It's just so perfect.
Yeah, I have heard him say
this.
It was a bit to also intimidate the opponents. Like, this is a counter siphon. I know what I'm going to be naming. I've thought about this beforehand. This is part of my plan. And
it certainly made it easier for us on the stream as well, because normally when someone plays targeted marketing, we don't have necessarily good player audio, so we can't hear what they're calling. Anyway, the advanced assembly lines installs a piece of Ice on R&D, which turns out to be a Turing. I like the advanced assembly lines. I use it in NEH to get the bonus ID ability on the runner's turn for the draw. Obviously, it works in ETF as well.
Yeah, it seems strong. Plus, you get the credit as well. Yeah.
But Chuck on R&D sees a Turing. So I wonder how should Simon approach this? He's going to struggle to stay fast. So.
Yeah. Well, there's quite a bit of setup time for guys to get all the tech traders and the fool guys. I mean, you'd still want to be playing the tech traders, even though they're named with targeted marketing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not really doing as much, not firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that's presumably the reason that Ben named Tech Trader was because it's so key to starting momentum in Geist.
Yeah.
I mean, you can live without it, I guess, but it just makes life so much harder. As we see another speculative run on HQ, so hits a magnet. So, Code Gates. The Turing on R&D was an interesting call as well. I wouldn't expect many AIs from a criminal player or any at all. Yeah, that's true. So you play a lot of criminal yourself, of course. So the typical criminal rig doesn't tend to involve AIs. You do get fast criminals. You get fast everything.
Yeah, fast.
I think that Simon on the day was on. He was on the Cloud Breakers, I think. So he had the Cloud Breakers and like a Mongoose and a Passport and some other kind of makeshift breakers to fill in the gaps.
Sure. Yeah, I like having a set of real breakers when I was playing Guys, something like a Corroder or a Gordian, just to make sure that you can still be pressuring the centrals and not having to waste all of your crowbars and things. And you can use them for the high impact runs.
Yeah, and by late game, you're incredibly rich, so you can pay to use real breakers, instead of the number of breakers being at your bottleneck. Okay, so we've had a Bazaar and a Replicator installed from Geist here, so I think we can expect a spy camera in the near future.
Spy cameras in Geist is a good card anyway, but this is just really powers them all out.
So I expect, of course, the combo here, of course, is that as soon as one spy camera is installed, it's a piece of hardware. So Replicator will get a copy of it from the deck, put it into his hand, and Bazaar will allow him to install it. And then this repeats. So we're going to get all 6 spy cameras at once. There's probably very little else that it applies to in this deck. Things like Hopper is a non-unique piece of hardware. There's probably not a lot else.
Well, you could also be using just fire more replicators to get it out the deck to just thin it down a little bit more. I mean, it might be negligible, but
it's on like Forger as well. You know, if you install the Forger, you can get a copy of it
in your hand. You need it. Yeah.
I guess then if you siphon and crack the Forger, you can put another one down. You know, you can kind of that might be useful, or you can throw it away if you don't think you need to. Okay. So Ben Now, I might have expected Ben to try to score something by now.
I was just going to say I would have expected at least an attempt at scoring. Maybe he wants 2 pieces of ice on the remote to protect against inside job.
Yeah.
But in a Geist deck, you wouldn't expect
job,
as many events in it.
Yeah, that's true. There's not necessarily... I mean, there could, of course, be inside job is in Faction and Criminal. Geist is not really like other criminals, so he could very easily not have inside job. As we see the first spy camera.
All the spy cameras.
Yeah, I couldn't be bothered to put 6 spy camera overlays on, so they're all going to come out.
That's fair, I'll give you that.
But, of course, with the tech trader as well, the tech writer as well, gains 6 counters, of course, as you install 6 things. So, I guess what we can expect now then from Simon is that he's probably going to try and probe R&D a little bit until he's confident he can get in, and then he'll start using the spy cameras to target his runs.
Sure. I mean, I'd still like to try and find a way of dealing with an architect, because you never want to let an architect fire, but it has gone on for a while without making many runs.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, he can get through a Turing, although, of course, he'd rather break it in a more conventional sense.
Yeah, actually break it. It's not always good to run headfirst into Turing. Passport is
so he's got a passport.
Okay. With the Turing.
So, with the passport, he can at least force a res, I guess. In fact, he's going to run straight up, I think, on R&D.
Yeah. There's the architect that I was afraid of.
Yeah, you speak like somebody who's run into an architect before. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it hurts every time you run into it, especially last click.
Yeah.
I've managed to do that less and less now.
Yeah, of course. Ben did actually flash his hand for this architect, flash what he saw. So he saw on the top of his deck an Itchy, a Jackson, a Toll Booth, another piece of ice that I couldn't make out, and a Kronos project. A few pieces of ice and Jackson, and then the agenda as well in the 5th position. So that gives him some interesting information that he can. The thing about spy camera, of course, is that the corp doesn't know what you've seen, but he can. If he's good memory, then he can.
I think Ben would have quite a good memory about what he's seen. I'd probably look at using the architect file to solidify the remote a bit. Maybe putting the ice out there because it's free to install, gaining a credit.
Yeah.
And then maybe using the advanced assembly lines to get it back out of archives to get a bit more economy. Then you can really solidify the remote and then score the Kronos project at a point to really cause problem to Geist, maybe taking out some of the spy cameras with the Kronos. Yeah,
it was quite interesting during the stream because a couple of times Ben would put things in this remote and any one of them could have been a Kronos project, which is obviously terrifying. So at this point, Simon doesn't know that's necessarily an option. An interesting thing to comment here as well. So Ben put the cards on top of his R&D at an angle. These are the architect cards, the cards that he's seen with architect. I wondered on the stream if that was actually totally legal. Is it a form of note taking? I'm not sure. Anyway, he scores Project Petruvius, so that was a click 3 run on R&D, and Geist didn't then contest the remote, so Ben was able to get out an agenda. He installed a piece of ice from R&D, so the agenda must come from his hand.
Like I say, what the ice was that he installed from.
No, I don't know what it was actually. But now that he's got 2 ice remote, he might feel quite confident, considering there's only a passport on the runner side. He might feel quite confident installing more agendas in there, and trying to score them through. Well,
especially if there was a toll booth that he saw from the architect fire.
Yeah,
having the passport out means that he'd have to waste time getting another breaker.
Yeah, that's true.
He won't be able to build up it. Okay, so my memory of the different Geist breakers is a little hazy. Is Crowbar
yeah, you got it. Crowbar is the Kogo breaker.
Yeah, it'd take a while to power that up to get through a top booth.
Yeah, it will. Of course, the cloud breakers have their strength is equal to the number of ice breakers you have installed. So yeah, to break a top booth, you need to have 5 breakers installed, and some's a long way from that.
Yeah.
Now he might have a Gordian blade or something like that, which he can use, but. Yeah, we're not sure.
Geist doesn't have any link yet, does he? So I mean,
no, he currently has no link. That's
throwing all the breakers down. Well, we've not seen any yet either.
No, so you don't need a lot of link, of course. You need a couple of options. I think so in my lists, I had 3 hoppers, 2 forgers. I assume he's on something similar. That seems to be pretty standard kind of Geist, because link is kind of memory anyway. If you're on the cloud breakers.
Well, I mean, it's especially useful at the current time with control of the message being so prevalent with the amount of tracing at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Link obviously has other benefits now based on the meta we're in, the Corp meta we're in, which is very heavy into tracing.
Yeah, because CTM was the dominant deck at our Nationals.
Yeah, there are a lot of CTM in the cup. You're right. So I'm assuming that Simon faced a few CTM on the way into the top 16. He can't not have. There were so many near the top. And he's going to install Turning Wheel and have a run at HQ. Bounces, but he does get the wheel counter. I quite like Turning Wheel. I'm not sure. So I wonder if it suits the philosophy of this deck. It seems odd with Spy Camera.
It seems odd with Spy Camera. It seems quite slow to be charging up over time. You're not really making many repeated runs on R&D because you can snipe the agenda. So it seems a bit odd, but it's only one influence. So it might be an added bonus.
Yeah, the thought of, the logic behind Spy Camera is that it with Spy Camera, you're probably going to make only very targeted runs. You're gonna call your shots. So you're going to say, oh, okay, now is when I need to make a run. So that doesn't suggest you're going to make a lot of single access runs or speculative runs. Having said that, maybe Spy Camera is his R&D pressure and Wheel is his HQ pressure.
Yeah,
that's not unreasonable. I do like Turning Wheel. I've played it a little bit more recently. It's quite nice, and I like it. The fact that it targets HQ and R&D is great. So it fits both.
Generally playing Andromeda as criminal, my one bit of influence goes on something like a Quality Time or a Rebirth or a Film Critic, which Geist has less use for having a Quality Time or Film Critic, especially a Rebirth. There's no reason he'd want a Rebirth.
Yeah.
So it's
that's true. So
Will
seems okay. Yeah. All right. So we've got that is a spike. So that'll break barriers. So that means he's now in position maybe to contest HQ as he installs a Rex. So he's got now a remote Cogate option. Still nothing for sentries. I wonder if he's tempted to... okay, so we've got Shiv as well.
Sure.
So I wonder if he's tempted to check this remote. He is going to run the remote, which is installed in the last turn. So this could be a bluff by Ben. He's only got 5 credits, so he can't res a lot.
I mean...
You suspect he can get in, Simon, here?
Ben doesn't have many credits, so if he's pressuring it and then can't actually get in, then Ben's unlikely to have enough credits to score the agenda the following turn as well, if he's only on 5 and has to res something.
Yeah. He's having a good think about this.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it could be then if he's having a good think about it.
You have 15 minutes left of the round. 15 minutes.
Okay, so he's during, so he can break it.
It would be expensive with Rex, 4 credits to get in.
So he uses Rex again, he's only got 1 credit left.
Add a precious counter as well.
He's going to hit an Ash, okay, which you can't trash. Yeah, that is annoying. Okay. So Ben went down to 1 credit. Was that good reds though? Because I guess it forced it protected the Ash. He knew that Simon could get in as he installs another card on that remote. He knew that someone could get in, but he thought if he reses the Turing, then he can prevent the Ash from being trashed.
Well, even if it got all the way in, he could have trashed the Ash, so he would have had enough credits to trash the Ash, so I guess he values that.
And I guess he taxed a Rex counter. I don't know, that's not nothing. And now he's installed on it, so, I mean, could this be an agenda? I feel like this is a scoring window for Ben here. He can probably throw an agenda in here quite safely.
Yeah.
He's now up to 3 credits, so he can probably protect this agenda. I mean, so what did it cost someone to get in 4 credits and a Rex counter? So unless he has some burst money, and without tech traders, you can't see where that's going to come from.
You can't see much burst economy out of Geist.
Yeah, so he's probably not going to be able to run this, and even if he does click for 3 and run, I mean, Ben could just res the Ash, I guess, and then he still can't trash the Ash. So,
well, I mean, the other strategy that I see a lot of people employing against Geist is just stacking the same sort of ice. Yeah. So, I mean, if this is a double code gate remote, then it's really taxing Rex quite a lot to get in there. So you can make really one more run in with the 3 Rex counters.
Yeah, it could be a Turing or something, a second Turing. I'd say, okay, interesting. So Spy Camera is an ABT on the top of R&D. So let's see if he can get in there. So Spike can break the Architect and Passport can break the Turing for 1 credit.
Got just enough to get in.
So he can get in. In fact, he's going to go straight for it, I think,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Rushy HBs, they really want to be trying to biotic out their ABTs to fire it to get maximum value from it and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm more afraid than most people of a fired ABT.
Yeah. ABT's, yeah. I mean, when it works, yeah, it's terrible. So it does steal, okay. Which does kill targeted marketing. Hooray! Maybe now we'll see a tech trader go down. I'm assuming he's got one by now. There'll be 3 in the deck for sure.
Yeah, but spent a lot of his, all of his money to get in there, didn't he? 1 credit of it.
Yeah, that's true. And this remote is still kind of unchallenged. So if there is an agenda in there, Ben might consider that a fair trade. I don't know. I mean,
if it's a Kronos, then he could get some of the key cards. I haven't been keeping track of what Simon's been throwing away.
Yeah, I mean, he's down to 3 spy cameras. There's 3 in the bin, for instance.
Yeah.
He's throwing away Shiv. He hasn't used any other cloud breakers yet. Apart from that, I think mostly he's just thrown away duplicates of things. So his spare replicate, that kind of thing. Yeah. So he's going to credit install the tech trader credit. Okay. So now that he has 1 tech trader down, he's going to start to make a little bit of money from his spy cameras, that kind of thing. He'd really love more. If this is an agenda, I wonder if Ben scores it here. I mean, it's the same position it was last turn, right? It's no more.
Yeah, I mean,
risk.
I think I'd be quite happy scoring an agenda if it was there. Your R&D is quite well protected just due to the lack of.
So he's going to archive memories for targeted marketing and play it again. So he's really trying to kind of keep the lock on, this kind of tech trader lock on Simon to prevent him getting all of them down. Because I don't think that's a bad decision from Ben. I think it's very astute actually. It's Geist here is obviously really struggling for economy, and tech trader is a release for that.
That is good restraint from Ben. Just going with the same plan of targeted marketing, making a lot of money. Doesn't really need it as siphon protection so much against Geist.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he does also consider he obviously considers this remote safe if it is an agenda. He considers it safe. Geist doesn't seem any more likely to get in this turn. He does have the tech trader, so he can burst money a little bit. So he could, for instance, pop both spy cameras and get up to 4 if he wanted to.
What is Ash Trace is 4?
Yeah, so it's 2 to res, so Ben can definitely res it, and it's base 4, that's right. So he's not going to be able to trash the Ash without a couple of spare credits. It's 3 to trash. I happen to remember from my many times ploughing into it. Okay, so he's having a bit of a think here. He's got a Biotic on R&D, so he's not going to do anything about that. He does install a Forger. That might help with his memory situation. This is his first link, so he can now actually install more programs, and which crucially will get the strength of his cloud breakers up as well. So he's going to replicate for a spare Forger, but
probably just to trash it.
That may well go straight in the bin. Yeah.
I mean, seeing the Biotic on top makes me a bit more hesitant to want to play the tech traders. You don't want to give Ben the extra money just to score out when he is quite poor as well.
Well, that's it. And now Simon doesn't know, but we do, that Ben's drawn a Kronos.
Yes.
So Bartik plus Kronos is a deadly combination. So
at the moment, I think I saw a fair few full guys at the beginning. So
a couple of full guys have gone in the bin yet. If Ben waits a couple more turns, then he might get all 6 spy cameras if he can time it right. And that'd be quite punishing. Okay, so Simon doesn't seem tempted to check this remote.
I think he just needs to actually just try and advance his board a bit more. Just getting some more economy or building up breakers.
Yeah, so he's just going to install some more breakers. It's a shame also he hasn't got a tech writer down while he's doing that, gaining the kind of bonus credit for all these installs that he can get back later. Tech writer's quite slow economy, but it is economy, and that's kind of better than what he's got at the moment, which is nothing. It's a bit having a think now. Yeah, so it looks like he is.
Yeah,
just going to score Vitruvius. Okay, so it takes him up to 4 points.
Still holding the Kronos in hand.
Yeah,
I thought that was the Kronos when it was in the remote.
Yeah, it could well, but yeah, it could have been. And it's interesting that he didn't go for it. He might be trying to push his luck a little bit with it to try and wait until the heap is a bit bigger, so we can get kind of maximum effect from it. For instance, there's now 5 spy cameras, so he's not in a position to Baltic it yet, though. He's going to need to make some money first. But ETF can do that.
Well, hopefully Geist will do it for him as well. So
that's true. Yeah, maybe Ben is kind of, leaning across the table and saying, you really could install that tech trader. I shouldn't worry about it.
I mean, it's beneficial for both of us having these tech traders out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, so now we've got the tech writer down, so we might get a couple more programs go down now. So what does he need? He seems a sentry breaker. He did have a shiv earlier, but he used it to get the ABT from R&D. He does have he's got a passport and a Rex. So he's got 2 permanent-ish code gate breakers and 2 spikes.
So I expect something like a mongoose or something as a more.
So there's a crowbar. So more code gate options. But what he really wants here is a mongoose, which is pretty good against Architect, just 3 credits, or a bunch of shivs, I guess. So we get installed on the remote and 2 credits, which obviously with the ETF credit takes about 4. So once again, he's threatening. Could this be the Kronos? Maybe. It's possible. I mean, he's considered. He has a biotic now, so if he didn't need to put it in the remote, and Geist can kind of get in this remote now more easily. Because he has 5 breakers, so he can use the crowbar to break the Turing, for instance. If Ben doesn't res this outermost dice.
I think if I was Ben, I'd rather save the biotic for the winning agenda at a later date. I mean, this is still a fairly safe server.
That's true.
It.
And a Kronos is just 1 point.
Yeah.
So there's not that much risk. You just throw it in, just score it, and then keep the biotic. You just got to get 7 credits and draw an agenda, right?
Or, just wait for them to install a tech trader.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a very good point, actually. Meanwhile, Simon is. I mean, he's got more stuff down, so there's more of a rig now. I get the feeling that this game might have gone.
Oh, maybe he's wanting to score that Kronos.
Yeah, he's having a good think. Let's have a look in here.
Yeah, that's going to be the Kronos.
So maybe it is. He's just checking. He's also. I mean, Simon's not in a position to play a levy. I'm going to assume that there's at least 1 in this deck. It could well be 2, despite the influence cost.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have his influence isn't on breakers like most criminals. He doesn't have the permanent corroder or the Gordian, so he could probably get a levy. Yeah,
I don't know the stuff we've seen. Yeah, that's true. So he might have 1 Gordian, 1 corroder, for instance. This was obviously this was up to I want to say 23 seconds at Nats. So this was pre paperclip,
pre Temujin. Otherwise, I think
and pre Temujin as well, of course. That's right. So in many ways, it's pre-criminal. Okay, so he's going to check this remote. Okay, so we're going to architect res. That's interesting. Okay,
so he doesn't have the cloud breaker for that. Is that the?
You can't break it. He doesn't have a shiv. So he's got a crowbar, which is the yellow one at the bottom of the screen for code gates, and he's got the 2 spikes. That's the green one that he stacked for barriers, but he doesn't have shiv. He doesn't have the blue one that he needs for sentries. So this architect is going to fire. We also know that he has a Jackson in hand, or at least he had a Jackson in hand. Of course, maybe the Jackson is the outside remote. So if this is an agenda, Ben could just install his Jackson over the agenda. That's not a terrible idea.
But he can still protect the with the Ash, can't he? If he was to get out the advanced assembly lines, he gained the ETF credit and he can res it and also get the res the Ash.
Right. So in fact, he's going to do that. Exactly. So he's going to install the advanced assembly lines and probably res it now as well.
Yeah.
No, he's going to wave it. Okay.
Well, so wait for them to break the Turing.
So he's going to crowbar the Turing, which will actually make him a credit. So that'll help with the trace. And he gets a Geist draw, of course. So this is it. So Ben is going to res this to get some money. Is he going to res the Ash? I guess so. So he's going to res the Ash. Okay. So he can't. He's not going to boost it. So it's only 4. So someone does have 2 links. So he's going to pay the 2 credits to get the access. And it's just okay. Jackson. So he was baited into it. I feel like that might have been kind not obvious, but the clues were there that he didn't, because you can use the architect to protect a Jackson, protect an agenda, and that's not a terrible thing to do.
But I mean, I completely fell for that, and I thought that was an agenda in there. Yeah,
and it could well have been. I don't question him checking it. So, for instance, if the other card on the table is a Jackson, you could just install the advanced assembly lines on the agenda, for instance.
Yeah.
You have ways of removing the agenda from the server that's being run. Okay, but he's going to finish his turn by installing a crowbar. So actually, that wasn't too bad. He had the replacement crowbar so that he knew that he wasn't wasting his one shot. So if the same thing happens next turn, another agenda goes in there, he can check again.
But one of the most dangerous parts of Architect is the information that the Corp has, the top 5 cards, knowing what's going to be coming up.
Yeah, we didn't see what it was this time.
Okay.
Ben didn't flash his hand at the camera this time, so I didn't get the chance. I couldn't quite make him out. But yeah, this advanced assembly lines as well, he can use it, I guess, during his next turn. You want to maximise it, get your credit. So he can, for instance, install... In fact, he's going to install this remote. And yeah, get the ETF credit and then take the 2 credits.
Nice standard ETF.
Yeah,
turn,
it is.
Install,
Yeah.
take 2.
Take 2. He could use the assembly lines here to get another credit if he needed it. I'm not sure what you install with it though.
I can't
He's going
think
to do
what
that.
he's got in his hand. Yeah, it's just
Anything
that's free.
Anything will give you a credit. Yeah. Okay. So I wonder what this outside remote is. It could be another Jackson. You might draw 2. Okay, so Spy Camera's going to see an Ash. That's not particularly useful. We know there's an Ash in the remote. I don't expect Simon to respond to that. Sometimes when you see defensive upgrades, you do like, if you can get into R&D, you like to go after them just so you can...
Yeah, but the one Ash
trash.
already is the problem at the moment.
Yeah,
this one's
but...
just adding to the list of issues.
Yeah, the second doesn't really help. The question for Simon here is if he's going to check this remote, you feel like...
The new remote.
Well, no, sorry, the first remote, the one on the Ash. Sure. So you wonder if maybe this is the Kronos. This is the question.
Where is the Kronos?
Yeah, it's somewhere. I think bolting for a Kronos is not a bad idea, but like you say, just scoring it and keeping the Baltic back for winning the game is a definite option.
Yeah, Ben definitely has a lot more patience with this Kronos than I would have had. I would have been happy to get rid of a few spy cameras and leave it at that, but
yeah, that's true. So all 6 spy cameras are in the bin now, so scoring a Kronos now is pretty good. I mean, the more cloud breakers you can get in the bin, the better. I'm not sure what he's used so far. He's used 1 crowbar, 1 shiv, as Simon once again runs into a sentry without a sentry breaker.
This is
dear.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. So he's going to hit the itchy. It is on click 1, so he's going to break the 2 program trash subroutines and hit the trace. Ben can't boost it, in fact, so the trace does nothing because someone has 2 link.
At least he gets a Turing wheel counter.
Yeah, he does. He does jack out. Could he have got in? He could have spiked the Eli and passported through. So we could have got in for an access.
One of your precious cloud breakers, and when you're poor on money, that would have cost you.
So what was he going to do on that run? Was he going to click the Eli for 1 access in HQ? I mean, it's possible. He might have a pull up as well. Maybe he's got a pull up. Okay, that could be it. He might have wanted to get the pull up down for
before room mills.
Yeah,
there's a lot of preemptive Jacksoning at the moment.
Yeah, there is right now. Yeah, that's true. So Ben installs an upgrade on HQ and takes money. So he's going to continue to just try and money up and score maybe an agenda or whatever there is in this remote. The upgrade in HQ is interesting. That could be the second Ash, so that he can. What do you res that for? Legwork, I guess. Or maybe, it could be a Chrysium if he happens to have a Chrysium or something. I don't know. Or it could be an Ash bluffing a Chrysium. Whatever.
Ash, Cyberdex, Chrysium. I mean, at the moment, it's all the possibilities.
Yeah, anything.
Anything at the moment.
And Simon is going to worry that it's the thing that would most hose him, which at this point might be a Chrysium, even if it's not. So yeah, just putting it on there gives him something to think about. I don't expect a sneak door in this deck.
No,
sadly.
you wouldn't have the MU to support a sneak door.
Yeah, you've always got memory. I regularly, when I had my full rig out as Geist, I'd have 2 memories spare. I'd have like 13 programs on the table and still have memory free. He doesn't have any extra memory, but as it is now, he's got 2 free. Simon actually quite interestingly uses these kind of silver counter things to track memory, which is quite a really interesting idea.
Yeah, that is quite helpful as well.
In the land of cloud breakers, because you can see which ones don't take up memory. And it will remind him if he tries to install stuff before he's got his first link down, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So Simon has a speculative run on archives. I'm not entirely sure what that... He might have wondered if there was a... he's trying to force the Jackson, maybe. He knows there's a Jackson, or rather he knew there was a Jackson in the remote. So maybe he wondered if there was another Jackson. I don't know. I'm not really sure the logic. He might have maybe just been trying to keep Ben honest.
Yeah. He's got to just be drawing for some form of Sentry Breaker. something to find it.
Yeah.
He's gone on for quite a while now. Don't quite know what turn this is, but not having a Sentry Breaker this long is causing quite a few problems.
Yeah, he's only had the one Shiv, which he used long ago on that R&D run. Since then, he hasn't had a Sentry Breaker. The Shiv, there we go, right on cue. So now he can, in theory, get into one of these servers once. Spins at Southset Slums, that's quite interesting.
Well, that's got to be the tech for the CTM.
That'll be a meta call, yeah, and not going to help him in this matchup. Okay, so there is a Jackson on the board, and Ben's going to use his draw. And take some money. Okay, so I wonder if Ben just kind of... I feel like Ben wants the agendas at this stage. He knows he can score agendas. I assume this is not an agenda on the Ash.
Ben's turns are very quick. He's got a game plan already, and he's working. He knows what he's doing before his turn starts. It was going to be the Jackson draw, find some, maybe economy, hopefully, and he's definitely got a plan.
Yeah, I feel like this game's gone a lot longer than Ben would have liked, actually. Yeah. I feel like he can score agendas. I feel like so maybe he's just not drawing them because he could. I mean, he has less so now. Geist is kind of building up, but there have been windows where if Ben had an agenda, he totally could have scored it. So yeah, it's a bit. I just wonder if Ben's just not been getting the draw. Sometimes you want agendas as a corp, and I feel like Ben's been in that position for a little while.
Yeah, maybe he
the window's kind of slipping away now.
Just to power draw to find an agenda that he can put in the remote.
Yeah. He might also be in a situation where he can double biotic. Not double biotic, but where he has two biotics, and he's just going to give up on scoring this remote now, and basically it's going to come out of hand. The 3 ice and HQ suggests that he can feel kind of safe if there are agendas in HQ.
And the upgrade as well. 3 ice
and the upgrade, whatever that might be. So if it is an Ash, for instance, that'll protect against the legwork. And turning will, so any kind of multi-access.
Yeah.
So he hasn't done anything. So he must have taken credits this turn because he hasn't. Yeah, he is. Okay. And choosing what to discard.
That is a thin-looking deck for Geist.
He's now on 8 credits as well. We know there's a Bartic and a Kronos in his hand because they were not in the bin when Simon recently ran Archives. So I wonder if we're going to see that very soon.
And he's got rid of the target.
So he played the Freedom.
Throw down all of your tech traders now.
So he played the Freedom for Equality. Normally you play that when you see an agenda with a spy camera, but he instead just wanted to clear the targeting marketing, which is not a bad play. Yeah. If he can get an agenda soon, so he's going to go into R&D. He's going to spend some war counters. He's going to try and access a couple of cards.
Yeah.
I got an ABT. So the Freedom paid off. Okay, and a restructure. So he does score the ABT and the Freedom to Equality, takes him up to 5 points.
That was a good turn.
Yeah, that was a good turn. Which gives him a lead, actually. And this game is going kind of long. There is a threat of it going to time. So, of course, let's not forget that when time is called, the person who has the most agenda points does progress, and the higher seed if not. I don't remember who the higher seed was on the day. I think it might have been Ben, actually. But okay, so Ben definitely needs to score now. He credit restructure instead. So
he's got plenty of money to score with 2 Bartics if he does.
Yeah,
so Bartics that have been glutting up his hand.
Yeah, if he, we know he's got 1. He may well have a second by now. That restructure. So I feel like he probably could have done something that last turn, but that restructure turn, which made him 7 credits over the turn, could well have just been to set him up so that he doesn't need any money for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So that he knows that he doesn't need to have economy turns. He can just identify windows and force things through. He doesn't have any more ice, so he might consider adding ice to that remote if he wants to score through it.
If he wants to score it, I think he's wanting to biotic things out at the moment.
Okay, so we've got an install. The Bartic, okay.
Kronos.
This could be it. 3 things. Could be an ABT fire. It is a Kronos, okay. Oh, that's a lot of cards to lose, okay. So, there must be like, 6 cards left in Simon's stack. Okay, so that was well timed.
One of which hopefully is his Sentry Breaker.
Yeah, so we know there were 2 Shivs in the bin. We haven't seen any other Sentry Breakers go past, I don't think. I'd assume at least 1 Mongoose. Yeah. That might be it. There might be a second Mongoose. There might be a maybe that's
kind of expensive.
Yeah, you don't really want to use that
no.
for actual sentries. You want to use it for its bypass.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So he's going to install a hopper. I wonder if he's going to draw.
You see, you could have triggered Replicator at that point with the hopper just to see what you had left.
That's
there's
true,
very
actually.
few cards
Yeah,
there.
that's true. He should have triggered it. I don't think it's optional. Actually, it probably is optional.
Probably is optional.
Yeah, he could have done it to get more hoppers, especially if he's going to pop it.
Yeah.
So, okay, he's going to draw. So he's going to try and find a solution to the fact that he now has no more spy cameras.
There's
okay.
the Mongoose.
So we've got the Mongoose, okay. So now he has a permanent breaker. He's got a permanent sentry breaker, so that's going to help. And Mongoose is going to do good work against the Architects and against the Itchy.
Yeah.
So
he can let the last sub fire.
5 credits? Yeah,
enough,
5 credits to break an Itchy, and he has 2 link.
Yeah.
No, he's only got 1 link now because he's a hopper. So he would have to contest the trace. So I think you just pay credit to break it, to be honest. That's the thing about Mongoose. I mean, you only save a credit by not breaking the last sub. So.
Yeah, it depends if the court wants to fight over it.
Yeah.
If you're on roughly equal credits, the court probably doesn't want to fight over it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so he's going to use the writer, which means he has now drawn his deck. Okay, so all the solutions that he has are now in his hand. So he's going to run R&D. Mongoose hits Architect, possible hits Turing. He's going to see Hedge Fund, that's no good. So he's just going for access at this point. He does know that 1 access wins in the game.
Yeah.
So, okay. Ben's going to pop the Jackson before the mandatory draw. And we're going to get a Baltic and a blue level and a Jackson. So that looks to me like he wants a Baltic and he wants ways of drawing a Biotic.
Yep.
So, okay. So this seems to be his out. He could very easily have an agenda in hand, 2-point agenda in hand.
Just looking for a Baltic.
Yeah. And if either side would steal it, they win. Okay. And he's on 9 credits.
Yeah.
So he can Baltic.
Some Rushy ETF decks do have 2 Kronos. So, I mean, there could be another one that gets stolen.
Yeah, he probably will have an even number of Kronos. Yeah, he could have 2. He could score it himself, of course. Yeah, there's not actually any reason to do that if you wait for the 2, apart from losing it and going to time. Okay, so he's going to stall an R&D. So he thinks R&D is where he's going to lose here, which is fair.
That's where the agendas are.
Yeah, because if they're in his hand, he might have scored by now. So, and he thinks HQ is probably quite secure. It looks pretty secure.
It looks pretty secure.
I mean, it's not very secure, but it's turning wheel. He might have an Ash on it. He's probably worried about Simon running R&D a couple of times and then in a turn's time maybe turning wheel it or something. I don't know. Okay, so we've got a Shiv.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to help make a little bit of money. Legwork. All right, okay. So Simon thinks his gens are in hand, which they could well be since he put back a Biotic.
We don't know what the upgrade is.
We don't?
I mean, if it is an Ash, this could
So
this could be going
Shiv's
wrong.
the Itchy, Spikes the Eli, possible, I guess, in the Magnet.
Yep.
Or Crowbar if you want more money. I don't think you do.
No, I don't think you do. You need to save the Crowbar for something.
Yeah, he's got the Rex as well, actually. But yeah, it's fine. And it gives him strength, actually. That's the other thing. So it means
Does he want to access the upgrade first?
yeah, he's talking about the upgrade.
Then
I think it was... it's an Ash. He's going to access it, and he didn't res it, though.
Okay.
So he's gone for the legwork, which suggests he might not have anything.
Yeah,
Baltic, Eli.
If he didn't res the Ash...
It's a Kronos, okay, right. So that does make things interesting because it does put someone on 6 points, which means that Ben's currently losing, so he needs to find that 2-point agenda and get it out.
But he's got the Baltic in hand to get it out.
Yeah, we saw the Biotic, so we know he's got the Biotic, which means that he can aggressively draw and hope to get another turn. So we're going to get a run on R&D here. So someone wants to win in case he missed a 2-point agenda or to prevent Ben from drawing a 2-point agenda.
That is quite a solid R&D now.
Yeah, he res Tollbooth. Ben has now gone below 6 credits. The 6 credits he needs to score a 3-2 from hand.
I have been caught out about something similar to this, but they have been using lateral growth to burst up with money, because then I believe it will get you 4 credits plus the ETF credit for the install.
Yeah.
So you will be able to make some money.
You could be right. So it's a Baltic Labour. Okay. And with that mandatory draw, time was called.
Oh, dear.
So this is Ben's final turn. So I'm still doing some cleaning up, but time was called. So this has been his final turn, and with only 3 credits, even if he has the agenda in hand, unfortunately, he has got no way of scoring it from hand.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
So that is it. He loses on time. He does concede. So I'm very sad for. I'm very sad for Ben. I feel like that could have gone very differently. I think he just wasn't drawing the agendas.
No, there was a point mid-game where he had...
If he'd had agendas, you start throwing them out.
Really solid remote.
Yeah.
He had some money. He just couldn't find the agendas, digging for them quite furiously.
Yeah, and he had the Baltics in hand, so you knew that when he was drawing, he was just going to start scoring them out.
Yeah.
Having said that, congratulations to Simon, who...
Yeah, well done, Simon.
As Geist, has made it into the 3rd elimination round. So, that was a really interesting game. It's not unreasonable in that kind of matchup to think that Geist is quite strong if the game goes very long. And
the game goes very long, but he would struggle early on, and nobody found agendas early on, so it must have favoured Geist.
Yeah, I think Ben would have liked that to be a much shorter game.
Yeah.
He would have liked to go a lot faster, but his deck was unkind to him. He didn't draw the agendas, and he had draw solution. He used Jackson, things like that when he could, but it just... He would have liked that game to go shorter. The fact that it went so long meant that it favoured Geist, and that's how it turned out. Having said that, it was very back and forth, even right at the end. It went to time.
I mean, he didn't get as much money from all the tech traders. They were installed very late, but maybe because of the targeted marketing.
Yeah, that's right. So some took a long time to set up because the economy was stymied so much by that targeted marketing call, which is really interesting. That's really interesting inclusion, by the way. I like it.
It seems good in that sort of decks. In such a predictable meta, having a targeted marketing can be very good, especially when you turn up with the cards that you're going to be naming as well.
Yeah, I think that targeted marketing is it rewards players who practice a lot and know what to expect against opponents who play predictable decks. Now, in someone's defense, Geist is probably not the most predictable deck. Well, okay. It's
Tech
not
Trader is a very nice one.
It's not a deck he would have been seeing all day,
no.
I should say. But it does have key cards, and Ben knows what they are. Tech Trader, right?
Yeah.
So So commiserations to Ben. Sadly, this was in the loser bracket, but that means that Ben does go home. Simon did continue into the 3rd round.
Oh, great.
Sadly, we would not see him again. But in our next video in the 3rd round, we're going to see Johnny Lockhart playing against Dylan Green. Johnny was playing Sync and Dylan was playing Andromeda. So, do you have any particular thoughts? Did you take Andy? No, you didn't take Andy.
I played Andromeda at Nationals.
At Nationals, okay.
It was a Andy Sucker build, a bit more of a classy build. I think regular breakers like Gordian would have served better on the day.
Okay.
So we'll see what...
so this
been played.
This Andromeda deck is actually it's an kind of an au revoir deck, I think. So it's a bit different.
Oh, I played an au revoir at the King service the day before and found it did go a bit slow.
Yeah.
But looking at it at Nationals, loads of people were on it, so maybe I made the wrong call at that point.
And Sync, I can guess some cards that will be in this deck.
Yeah, well, it's all yellow cards are good at the moment.
So it'll have the likes of hard hitting news, I expect. Breaking news on a Sansan. It'll have EOI, Close Council, Seeing Eye, all these delightful yellow cards.
Great yellow cards at the moment.
Yeah. So I feel like for a matchup like that, Dylan and his Andy, he hopefully will have packed a little bit of hate. Things like Natch maybe or networking.
Well, if Dylan is on the au revoir Andy, there's a good bit of link in that deck, so that will be helping against the Sync.
And hopefully we'll just get super rich. Although
Make loads of money.
He'll be running for economy, so that's kind of that's not great for hard hitting news
initially. But I mean, a Sync's got a small deck size, maybe only 2 hard hitting news, so maybe there'll be an early window where he can make money from runnings, and then he'll be out of hard hitting news range.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'll just remind our viewers they can find the videos at the website, neoredandgrid.co.uk, and they can find us on Twitter and on Facebook. Find us on Patreon as well if you'd like to support the channel, and of course you can check out the Dead Channel podcast. Thank you, Dave, very much for helping me commentate.
Thank you.
And thank you, viewers, for watching, and we'll see you next time.